Check. 1, 2.
The
Brief.
This is the Debrief.
Go. Your guide to Detroit.
Your guide to Detroit's
arts and entertainment scene.
This is the Debrief.
Hello and welcome to the Debrief for Tuesday, February 19th, 2019. This is your podcast for Detroit concerts, comedy, plays, food, drink, and more. I'm your co-host. My name is Seth Ressler.
And I'm Becky Scarcello.
And you're the one who's been around for a while. You know how Detroit works.
Been here a few years, yes. All my years.
Me, not so much. I've only been here for a couple years, so I'm learning from you. I bow down at your feet and learn. I'm the grasshopper, you're the master.
I like that. It's a good dynamic.
Here's what we got going on in today's show. First of all, Hamtramck is going to set a man on fire.
Okay.
We'll tell you about that.
The Hotel Yorba, the infamous Hotel Yorba, has been sold.
Also, the actor who played Booger in Revenge of the Nerds, you ever see these films?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's been a long time since I've had it.
Yeah.
But I remember Booger. Like, that's the character that I remember more than any others.
Yeah.
Well, he's doing a good deed for Oakland University. We'll tell you about that.
Okay. On Friday, we have our spotlight interview with Cyrus Teta, who's the one of two official photographers for the city of Detroit. And he has a exhibit up now called Neighborhood Natives at the Detroit Public Library.
Awesome. Look, we mention a lot in this show. If it's too much for you to keep track of, but you want to get links to the interesting stuff, all you got to do is go to our website, thedebriefdetroit.com, and then sign up for the email list. We will send you links to everything we talk about every week.
Or you can text the word Detroit to 444-999 and sign up that way.
All right, let's get into the show. In just a moment, we're going to meet our guest host.
This is the Debrief. This is the Debrief. This is the Debrief.
But before we do, we're such a tease.
I know. A little PSA.
Here it is. Look, we've been talking about this for a while now. We've been doing this podcast for well over a year, over 100 episodes in the can. We have had dozens and dozens. I mean, you've now seen it. We've redesigned the website with a list of every organization that we've had on this podcast with links so that you can go back and listen to the episodes. Every single individual that we've had on this podcast with links so that you can go back and listen to those interviews. And there's a lot. Like, I was surprised.
I know. I was impressed with ourselves. Once I really saw how many people and how many organizations we've really covered.
You're like,
it feels
whoa,
good.
We did all that. And you're like, oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Oh, yeah, that was fun. Yeah, it was cool. So we've done a lot. And here's one thing that they have all had in common. Pretty much everybody across the board that we've had on this show. They've all said the same thing after they were on the show.
I want to do a podcast.
Everybody wants to podcast.
Right.
Ron Burgundy has a podcast. He's not even a real person.
Right. Or not even just I want to, but I think I should.
Yeah.
Should I get into podcasting?
Yes.
It seems the thing to do.
Yes, you should.
Yes.
Look, so what we've decided to do is we have launched Michigan Podcast Productions. The mission is to help arts and entertainment organizations here in the city of Detroit launch their own podcast because we think it is such a perfect way for arts and entertainment organizations especially to stay in contact with their fan bases, their clientele, the people who visit their restaurant or go to the theater or visit their museum.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. It's especially for creative pursuits where you have fans that are really engaged in a way of that they love what you're doing, but they might only come for 2 exhibits a year, say, to your museum.
Yeah.
Or they might dine out for their anniversary at your restaurant. Or they might see your band one time on tour. But they'd probably like to know a lot more about you, and audio is a great way to do that. Tell the backstory, tell your specials, say what's coming up, give inside scoop on things that are happening at your place.
So here's the deal. If you're hearing this and you're thinking, yeah, that is a pretty good idea, maybe we should do something like that, I want you to pull out your web browser and I want you to go to MichiganPodcastProductions.com. You can get all the info there.
This is the Debrief.
All right, let's meet our guest host for today's episode. He is a guitarist and vocalist for the band Mainstreet Soul. He's also the winner of 4 Detroit Music Awards. He's been nominated for even more than that. So many we can't.
I asked him, he can't even count.
He's like, I lost.
Right. Oh, wow, I've been nominated so much. But no, he is an amazing musician, has played with so many people, and has great stories and good jokes.
Please welcome Pete Peltier.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Hey,
I didn't mean for it to sound that way.
No, it's good. It's good. We can brag about you.
That means I've been around that long.
Well, let's talk about your band, Mainstreet Soul.
Yep.
How long have they been around? What's the band all about?
We've been around about 8 years now. Jim Wopola is the band leader. He and I met through the previous band that he and I were in, Regular Boys, which is a really well-known, kind of a legendary Detroit band that formed back in the early 80s. And Jim and I were kind of in on the last episode of that band, or whatever you want to call it. And when Regular Boys disbanded and finally went their separate ways in 2010, I think it was, Jim said, I want to,
keep playing music.
Yeah, I want to put a band together.
Yeah.
You want to be in, and it was kind of not from the type of music that we played in Regular Boys, but the lineup, a horn band, 10-piece horn band. It was kind of, it was born out of that sort of lineup. So, yeah, it took a while to get off the ground. I told him, I said, you're starting a 10-piece band from scratch. This is going to take a while. And it took us probably about a year to really get it going. But, yeah, it's been a great experience. I mean, the guys and the women that I've had the opportunity to play with in that band is just amazing.
How do you put together a 10-piece band?
It's not easy.
And get the chemistry right.
Well, the biggest hurdle was we'd get together and we'd get a good group of people, and people, good musicians, they're in demand. So
right.
Somebody would be like, hey, I even found myself in that position early on, where I was so busy doing other projects and playing with other people locally that I couldn't commit to the amount of time it was taking to get it off the ground. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of people dropping out, and it's just kind of a that sort of thing where people would fall off, and then you'd have to find somebody else, and somebody else would leave. But then we finally got it going. We got a really good core of people, and it's been a great ride. We started off a little more idealistic. We were doing the stuff we wanted to play. We did a lot of Tower of Power, if you're hip to Tower of Power at all, and we did a couple of Santana songs, and we had a percussion player in the first iteration of the band. But little by little, we've gotten, we've realized you have to play to the audience too. You can't just play stuff that you want to hear. So, but so about 8 years, and we're busier than ever. We do a lot of corporate events now, a lot of weddings, a lot of private events, and we still get to play clubs for our friends when we can. Let's
talk about these Detroit Music Awards that you guys have racked up there. What have you won for?
Well, I won, the first couple of times I won was back in 2001. I was in an original Detroit area band back in the 90s, and up until about 2000. Ironically, we broke up right after we won our music awards, which is kind of
that's always the way it goes.
Classic story, The Dung Beatles. We were the Dung Beatles, and there's a whole story behind that. I don't know if we have time for that tonight, but yeah, we won for. We had been nominated a few times with that band as well in like the pop rock categories, and we finally won in 2001 for our record, which was Instant Classic was the name of the record. So we won for outstanding album or pop rock album, and then we also won for live performance. So that was really cool. It was great. I really felt that was such a great experience. Jordy and Thad Bradley, two brothers. That I was in the band. It was a power pop trio, but we became really, really close friends, and we turned out a lot of great music for the three of us, and never really took it to the next level, but we had a lot of fun with it, and I'm really proud of what we did together.
Yeah.
So.
And you've won an individual award too, right?
Yeah, in 2016 with Mainstreet Soul for the urban instrumentalist category, so on guitar. So, and then we won as a band. We wrote a song. Jim Hebler, who's been with quite a few bands in Detroit over the years, he and C.D. Henderson, our male lead singer at the time, myself and Jim Wopola co-wrote a song called In Detroit. Mm-hmm. And it's all about kind of, the resurgence. It's kind of a positive message type song about, what the cool stuff that's going on in Detroit, kind of the rebirth and what we've been through together as a city and how we're coming back. And so we won for, we won for original song for that.
And
that song.
What year was that?
That was 2016 also.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so.
How has the music scene here in Detroit changed in the years that you've been doing this?
Well, during the 80s and 90s, Hamtramck was, if you wanted to go hear rock and roll original music, it was pretty much Hamtramck. And then there was Alvin's downtown, down in the Cass Corridor there, when I played there quite a lot back in the day, back in the 90s. Now, I'm not as in tune with the original scene as I should because I'm so busy. I really feel bad that I don't get out to see my friends play more often because I'm always working. I think on one hand there's more places to play, but I don't know if there's necessarily more. I don't know. I guess I should have a better answer for that.
I feel like the audiences are pretty spread out. So there's more places to play, but you'll go to some shows that are a much smaller
there's
crowd.
some really cool places. There's like 20 Front Street out in
Lake Orion.
Yeah. And then there's, Otis Supply.
Ferndale.
And there's Black Lotus and that sort of. So there's some really cool rooms.
Yeah, definitely. Old Miami.
But they're different. They're not like, and there's still those places too.
Yeah.
And Hamtramck's still happening. I'm kind of out of touch with what's what in the city there as far as what the venues are. But back in the day, it was a Hamtramck pub. It was Bookies. It was Lily's. We played at Lily's a bunch of times.
Yeah, I remember going there.
Art Lizak's place. So I guess it's changed, but it's. I think it's healthier. I think we have. I think the Detroit Music Award Foundation has gotten a lot more organized and is really trying to bring these people together. I actually run a Facebook group. It's Metro Detroit Musicians Referral Network. I know that's a mouthful, but a friend of mine and I started it up. It's just a way to, I get nothing out of it, but it's just a way to get musicians to
talk to
network
each other
with each
just
other.
in case somebody needs 9 other people to play with.
Exactly.
Kind of a thing.
Right. But I think there's a
LinkedIn doesn't cover that.
No.
LinkedIn is not
No.
cool for the musicians.
No.
But I think there's a few like Decipher is trying to do that. They're to bring together the musicians as a collective body.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm starting to see more like interplay. Like I play for this person and that person, and I'll play with her and him, and
Right.
a lot more exchanging. I don't know how much of that went on in the past. Maybe it did, but
I think it did. I don't know. I'd like to think that maybe. I think there's more. I should be careful how I say that. I feel like there's more serious musicians now than maybe there were. I have to be careful how I said that. I don't want to sound. There was a big punk movement back in the late 70s and the 80s, and musicianship and songwriting wasn't necessarily.
Part
I don't
of the
think
equation.
It was.
And then auto-tune came along and fixed it all.
Smoothed it all out. Yeah.
Don't get me started on that. But I mean, there are some. I did a what is it? Whatever the anniversary it was for 20 Front Street. It was one of their. They had an anniversary thing on a Saturday a couple of months ago, and Joe Jabber, a songwriter that I play with here locally, was invited to be a part of it, and I was just blown away by these young people, these songwriters. I'm just sitting there going, wow. I mean, and I had
talent, yeah.
And I'm like, I need to get out more. I mean, these young people, I'm just like, holy mackerel. Just really great songs, and it was, it was just really, it was really inspiring. And I was only there for a part of the day too, and there were half a dozen songwriters that performed in that same time slot with us. I was just really inspired. Really inspired.
If people want to see you coming up, you've got an upcoming gig?
We do, yeah. We mostly private stuff for the next few weeks, but we're on Saturday, March 9th, we will be at Freddy's Bar and Grill in Clinton Township. And I know Freddy's Bar and Grill, if you're not familiar with the place, it sounds like it's just a little place, but it's actually a very cool, it's kind of a concert club. It's a sports bar, but they have a big stage, and they have a really nice sound system, and they really focus on bringing live music in there. So that's one of our favorite places to play. So if you want to come out there, it's Saturday, March 9th, and it's Freddy's Bar and Grill. I think it's at Garfield in Clinton Township. So.
Yeah, we'll put a link.
Well, Pete, we're excited that you're here. Hang out and have a good time.
All right, cool.
This is the Debrief.
Detroit.
Becky, let's start with music news today.
Yeah, so we've been eagerly anticipating Bob Seger announcing his Detroit shows because he's got this final tour, the Roll Me Away tour going on, and up until Valentine's Day, he had not said when he was coming to actual Detroit shows. So he's coming on June 6th and 8th to DTE, and get this will be his 28th and 29th shows there.
Wow.
I know. So back when it was Pine Knob, now DTE.
I mean, it's one thing to headline a venue like that once in your career or a couple times in your career, but that's a That's
It's
a long career.
Impressive. So the fan club pre-sale is already going on, but they go on sale to the public on February 23rd for those dates. So, Pete, I know you have something to say about Bob Seger.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been Stuart Frankie's guitar player for probably about 15 years now, I guess. He's a local, for those who don't know, he's a local songwriter, singer-songwriter, really just, great friend of mine. And yeah, he's a local legend himself as well. And it was 2011, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was his first tour back, and I think it was in a few years.
Okay.
His first major tour, Seger's first major tour. And he asked Stu to open for him on a couple of shows. So we opened for the first show of that tour was in Toledo. Mm-hmm. So we did the opening night, and then we opened for him again a couple of months later in Cleveland, and it was just such a great experience. I think, as I mentioned to you guys before the show, I've done a lot of shows playing for big crowds, but that took
Next
was a
level.
whole different level for me.
What is it like to?
Yeah, to get on that stage.
It was a trip. I mean, especially at Quicken Loans Arena there in Cleveland, you're standing there, and then the lights go down, and you can't see anybody pass. That's what I just kept telling myself, and I don't never really wanted to get stage fright, so to speak, but I just told myself, just pretend like you're playing in a, whatever, the Blue
Live
Goose,
Aid,
Blue Goose on the east side,
Right.
But you can't really see past the first couple of rows anyway.
Right.
But it was really cool, and it was fun to hear. And it's kind of interesting because in Toledo, I don't want to say we were more warmly received, but when we in Cleveland, they didn't give a rat's behind who we were.
Okay, right.
So you could sense there was a little bit of can bring Seger on, but you know what? We won them over, and by like the second or third song, people were really digging on it.
Good.
And it was like, that was a good feeling to think that, and I guess I'm probably the same way when I go to a show. I'm ready to see the artist that I'm there to see, and so that was really cool.
We had Gary Graff, the music journalist, on a few episodes ago, and we were talking because we didn't know. They hadn't announced these dates for Bob Seger's last show, and he was talking about what he thought Bob should do for that last show. Should he bring, Kid Rock or something like that up on stage? If it were your last show, what would you do? I mean, what advice would you give to Bob?
Yeah.
And what would you like to see in that final show?
That's interesting. I don't know. I think I would just I was going to say play some of my, but I don't. When we played with him, I remember standing. After we played, I was standing side stage by the guy running the monitor mix, and he had the set list there, and I'm looking at these songs and I'm like, oh my God! I mean, it was just like
hit.
It was. I mean, it was. I guess I always knew that, but to see that list of songs of just great songs. So I was going to say play, like some of my favorite songs that you've written, but he plays them anyway. So I don't know. That's a good question.
Watch him come out and do all new stuff.
Oh my gosh. The crowd would have none of it. That would not go over. Wow. All right, guys. Well, what about winter, man? It just snowed again. I had to drive to Pontiac at night when it was just dumping snow. What do we get? Like 5-6 inches?
Yeah. Well, and it's treacherous out there with all the, it melts and then it freezes over. And I've almost broken my neck a couple of times in the last few days.
So I think kind of like with potholes, like at this point we can all relate, we can all commiserate. Like, I just want it to be over. So if you need a little chuckle and laugh about this, there's a local rapper that did a pretty funny video on winter. So he's called G-Mac Cash. He proclaims himself to be the king of parody rap. And he put out this 1-minute viral video. It's called Tired of the Snow. And he raps over a trap beat, kind of just saying we're all in this together. He talks about, like, the kids, are they ever going to go to a week full of school? It's not worth it to me to slug through these 10 inches of snow to get to my dead-end job, things like that. So, and one lyric that made me laugh, he said, he's about to throw a snowball at the weatherman, and I already got on 2 coats and a sweater, man. So just silly. And he's walking around in the snow by his car with his big fur coat. So
this is a rapper with dad jokes? Is that what we're saying?
Exactly. G-Mac Cash. So we'll put a link to the video. Made me smile. So the famous Hotel Yorba, you guys know the White Stripes song. Jack White did the Hotel Yorba song, so kind of made it famous.
I do know that, but I don't know where the Hotel Yorba is.
So it's off of 75 if you're heading south, and it's basically across from the Ambassador Bridge.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's on Lafayette there, and it's been for sale since September, and it just sold. But we don't know who the buyer is. They want to be anonymous.
Not me.
It wasn't,
you buy it?
It wasn't me.
Not me.
It was $3.2 million.
Oh, definitely wasn't me.
Was the asking price.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know, like the letters are iconic. It's all over images on the internet and stuff, mainly because of the White Stripes song made it popular. But the place has been around forever, and it's pretty much operates as like a landing place for parolees from the Michigan Department of Corrections. So this is not an actual hotel that you would go stay in. In fact, there's some pretty funny Yelp reviews of people that wanted to book a room there. Like, hey, I'm a Jack White fan. Like, well, no, you can't stay here. So they gave it bad reviews on Yelp. But yeah, so apparently it has 300 rooms and an annual operating cost of around $100,000. So we'll see. I wonder what they're going to do with it.
And we don't know who bought it. So it's just going to be some big mystery.
I looked all over for even like rumors and stuff, and I didn't see anything.
I wonder if I can get Jack White to write a song about my Airbnb.
Then it would take off.
I know. It'd be huge, right? Can you write it? If I can't get Jack White, would you mind writing a song?
Yeah, you could do that.
I think yes. I think you should have Pete do it.
In Oak Park.
Right.
The name of the song.
Right. Oh, that'll be colorful. So I have some concert picks for you. Wednesday, February 20th, not exactly a concert, but I had to shout this out. So Gabe Gonzalez, his 50th birthday bash is at the Marble Bar on Wednesday. This is the guy that I actually handed the Outstanding Rap Producer DJ Detroit Music Award to last year when I was a presenter.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so I'm like, Gabe's birthday. So he's played with P-Funk and, just legendary stuff. And that should be a fun time.
Wait, let me ask a question. Do you remember who handed you your Detroit Music Awards?
Oh, I should remember. I was so shocked when
you got
I was
called
kind of daydreaming when they called and then I heard my name. I'm like, what? I don't remember. It was such a blur.
Because you've been nominated so many times, and it's like...
Here's what I'm saying. Gabe has no idea who you are, Becky.
Oh, I know he doesn't. I would absolutely guarantee that.
I don't think I can't. I can't.
Yeah, I can imagine it's all just kind of a blur. Do you remember what you said in your acceptance speech?
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
I thank my band members for for being able to play in a great band like I do, and for the people that voted for me.
Yeah.
I don't remember verbatim, but...
Cool. So on Thursday, February 21st, Kelly Clarkson's coming to LCA. And then there's 2 shows, Friday the 22nd and Saturday the 23rd, Humphreys McGee at the Fillmore. Also Saturday the 23rd, 2 cellos at the Fox. This is like sexy cello players. Like they're pretty...
I think I've seen their videos
Yeah,
on
it's
YouTube.
pretty wild.
Yeah.
Like, cool.
I thought you were going to say abs. I've seen their abs.
Well,
they're sexy.
I'm not going to tell you about that. So Sunday, February 24th, the Glorious Sons at St. Andrews Hall. Great rock band.
So, Pete, you're a musician. Who are you excited about coming to Detroit?
Well, it's not actually Detroit. He'll be in Ann Arbor, and it's not. It's coming up on May 7th, I think. But I'm a huge Joe Jackson fan. He's like... If I could sit down with one person and pick their brain about songwriting and that's I'm just a huge fan. So I'm really excited. It's his 40th anniversary performing since Look Sharp came out in 1979.
Isn't that crazy?
So it should. I mean, he supposedly is going to dredge up all these old songs that he hasn't played in a long time. So I can't wait.
Oh, that's great.
I actually got in on the pre-sale the other morning.
Get some good seats.
Landed some tickets.
He has a new record out, right?
Yeah, and he has a new. I forget what the title of it.
I have a friend who's a songwriter who said that this record is one of the best of his career.
It wouldn't surprise me.
And he'll be at Michigan Theater.
At Michigan Theater,
so that's a nice intimate venue too. Oh, you're going to enjoy that.
The deep breathe.
All right, I don't know if you guys know the name Curtis Armstrong. He is an actor. He's from the Metro Detroit area. Let me put it this way. You've seen Revenge of the Nerds. You remember that movie?
Yep.
Have you, Pete?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. If you ever go see the Revenge of the Nerds series, the one guy who always stood out to me was Booger. In fact, I think that's the only thing I remember about those films is Booger.
Pretty much.
He was the character. That's Curtis Armstrong. And he's known for a number of other things. Risky Business.
I remember him from that, yes.
Yes. He was in that with Tom Cruise. Also Better Off Dead, which was a movie that I loved.
That was a great one,
when I was a kid. And he's been on a number of TV shows. He was in Moonlighting.
I remember him in that. He's
you do?
Funny, yeah.
See, I never saw that show.
Sybil Shepherd, Bruce Willis.
That's right. I remember. Yeah, he was in that.
If I went back and watched that now, would that stand up?
I mean, the look of it, no, with
But
the
the writing?
fashions and everything, but I think the writing and the chemistry between the two of them.
Because that was Sam and Diane before Sam and Diane on Cheers,
Similar.
right?
Yeah, similar. Yeah.
I want to watch that.
You
so.
should, yeah. He's the guy, Curtis Armstrong's a guy that you might not know his name, but as soon as you Google his
Right,
face,
you'd be like,
it's
oh, that guy.
yeah.
He was on Boston Legal. He was on Supernatural. He played Principal Foster on New Girl with Zooey Deschanel.
Yeah, he's funny in that.
So, well, anyway, this happens all the time, too, when we do this show. Because I'm not from here, I'm always like, oh, that guy's from Detroit? I didn't know.
So many good talents, yeah.
Yeah, it turns out he went to Berkeley High School.
That's where my kids go.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe there's some graffiti in the,
There might be.
the bathroom
He has,
stall.
I know,
that he-
I've seen his signature at the Redford Theater.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have a green room with a bunch of famous people's autographs, and he's on there.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, so went to Berkeley High School and then went to Oakland University in Rochester. Actually graduated in 1975. And now he is donating collectibles from his 30-year career in film and television to the archives of Oakland University. 20 boxes. We're talking annotated scripts. We've got behind-the-scenes photos, contracts, actor interviews, press clippings, diary entries. I mean, I guess this guy wrote everything down.
Wow.
And pretty serious for a guy who, we all know is Booger.
I actually can't believe he's that old either.
Revenge of the Nerds is a long
It was, but when I
time
think,
ago.
I just don't think of him. as-
Apparently,
yeah.
one of the things that's in there is an original copy of the first script for Risky
That's
Business.
pretty cool.
That is pretty
Yeah.
cool, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That was that was a big. It was
That's
Tom
super
Cruise
cool.
with the Ray-Bans and Bob Seger, right? That was the
yeah,
song.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you got that
take the old
connection as well.
records off the shelf. Now, I think that's neat too that he's willing to part with all this stuff.
What are you
going to
do with it?
I don't know, but I think a lot of people are sentimental and hang on to it.
Yeah, he's
and
kept it
it's-
this long.
Yeah. I wonder what the decision was.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: do you guys have an alma mater that you would leave stuff to, and if so, what would you leave them?
Well, I mean, I'm not famous, so
I
we're
know,
giving it.
but,
Yeah,
but let's say you did.
I mean, I would think photographs,
Yeah.
cool photographs from. I'm thinking so I went to Albion College, photographs that would show sense of place and time. I think that would be neat for future generations to see what it was like and what people wore, and just slice of life. So,
What about you, Pete? What's your alma mater?
Well, I went to North Farmington High School. I don't know that I have any real serious ties to North other than my friends. I have a lot of friends that
Right.
I stay in touch with. So I don't know that I don't really know that I have anything material to
your
leave
first guitar.
Yeah, all that stuff's gone. You know,
Yeah.
it maybe just like an endowment or something. If I could, to help fund their arts department. Music. I don't even know how much of a music department they have there anymore. It's because so much of that stuff doesn't really exist at too many schools. So, but probably something like that.
Yeah.
Probably just write a check.
What about you, Seth?
Well, I mean, I had a career in radio, and I was the program director of a radio station in Providence, Rhode Island, which was affiliated with Brown University, which is where I went to college.
Yeah.
And when I left, I actually, because it was kind of this weird commercial college hybrid where their students would be DJs and there'd be turnover every couple of years. It had terrible institutional memory. Nothing was.
Oh, right.
So it lost a lot of its history. So I was there as a student, and then I went back as a professional and worked there and spent 3 years working there as a professional. And when I left working as a professional, I took all my notes, all my calendars, everything I had, knowing that the students had a habit of losing everything. And I
Right.
gave it to the university library and said, I don't know if this is useful, but do whatever you want with it so that somebody would have that stuff.
That's cool.
Because, probably for the same reason he's doing this. It's just you want people to see. And I think it's, I think what's cool about what he's doing is that it's not just going to be in a library where people can view it, but apparently the students are actually going to be able to use it and study it and see.
Oh, really?
Apparently he would write all kinds of notes on his characters and go in depth and all kinds of just backstory
cool.
stuff.
So the theater students
can see the method. And
you know what would be cool is, I don't think I have them, but like notes from high school and college where maybe you had to do essays about current events. Like I think that would be cool for somebody to look back on and say, oh, here's what she thought about what was going on in 1991 or whatever.
Yeah. That would definitely be cool.
Keep up with us.
The D.
Download our mobile app.
The D3.
All right, Becky, let's talk about what's happening around town.
All right. Well, how do you guys feel about Nicolas Cage, speaking of actors?
I mean,
Wah wah.
There are movies of his that I really like him in, and then there are other ones that are just like,
Not so much.
The Rock was a good film about Alcatraz.
Yes, I do. Once you guys started talking about that, I remembered it, and it was good.
I think part of his problem is he's almost oversaturated in the movie industry. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
He's
just
like every time you
much.
turn around, he's in another movie, and I think like overexposure almost.
One of my favorite shows is Community that Dan Harmon wrote. And remember when we were interviewing Mark Ridley, he was talking about how one of his sons worked on the show. There is a scene in Community where Danny Pudi plays this character named Abed, and he's taking a community college class about Nicolas Cage.
Oh.
And the professor warns him, don't watch all the Nicolas Cage movies at once, like pace yourself. And he doesn't take the advice, and he watches them all at once, and he goes into this Nicolas Cage meltdown where he just starts acting, and he turns into this weird, like, hybrid of Nicolas Cage and a cat, and he goes, I'm a cat.
Oh gosh. Yeah, he's just kind of weird.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that love Nicolas Cage. So this is an annual event at Planet Ant there in Hamtramck, is the Nicolas Uncaged Fest. It's billed as the world's premier Nicolas Cage event, and it's sold out, I guess, within minutes of the tickets going on sale or something, maybe days, I don't know, quickly. And it features a screening of Ghost Rider, and they even have a talent open mic section where you can get up and do songs about Nicolas Cage, poems, profess your love for him, etc.
Wow.
So sorry guys, if you want to go to that, it's sold out, but there's a companion event. So they're Schuler White, himself a stuntman to Nicolas Cage, is going to be set on fire.
Wow.
And he's going to attempt a Guinness Book of World Record for most jumping jacks completed while engulfed in flames.
Wow.
The current record is 30.
Wait, so somebody's already done, like, just the fact that there's somebody that you have to beat is pretty amazing.
He has to do more than 30. So he is a pyrotechnic specialist. Okay, so this guy knows what he's doing, and there's going to be all these safety measures, including the Hamtramck, firemen. But yeah, you can go show up and just see this spectacle.
See, I wouldn't have a problem with the lighting myself on fire problem.
You
part.
wouldn't?
That would be easy. It's the jumping jacks that I would find difficult.
While being on fire. So apparently he wanted to attempt the longest full body burn in general, but he said that was just too expensive.
It's a lot of lighter fluid.
And you need like too many safety measures or whatever. So apparently this is a little bit safer.
Wow.
And he's going to do it with assistance from Nicolas Cage's stunt coordinator, Al Barda. So, these are professionals. You can go see this at the Veterans Memorial Park in Hamtramck. And it's from 6:15 to 6:30, and they say show up soon. And you can also contribute to a GoFundMe to pay for the fire.
Okay.
Sure.
It's crazy.
Are they going to have a "Do not try this at home" disclaimer?
I would hope so.
One day your grandkids are going to ask you, where were you on the day that Nicolas Cage's stuntman did 30 jumping jacks while on fire?
Yeah. In February.
I was at the
Michigan.
Kiss concert when Gene Simmons lit his face on fire.
Are you
at that
really?
show. Oh yeah, it was, and you could tell what happened too. And we were not in the best seats either, but you could tell he bolted off stage.
Oh my
Yeah. when he did the breathing fire thing.
Yeah.
That was pretty intense.
That is intense.
Yeah.
Wow.
You guys don't do anything like that in your stage show?
No.
Pyrotechnics?
That's good. You don't want to ruin somebody's wedding with a fire. So if you don't want to go see, pay to see someone, you don't have to pay. But if you want to give to a different kind of charity, there's a couple events coming up that I wanted to tell you about. So Boys Hope, Girls Hope. Do you guys know about this organization?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
More or less.
So they're all around the country, but the Detroit chapter is quite active, and they help academically motivated students that are in middle school and high school get beyond whatever challenges or disadvantages they might have and be able to become successful in college or trade school or wherever beyond high school. So they do really important work, and they're hosting a Festival of Hope community service event at Little Rock Baptist Church in Detroit this Saturday, February 23rd. And it's all kinds of free stuff for the community. So I thought I would mention that. And then coming up March 2nd, Arts and Scraps is having their 30th anniversary party. So Arts and Scraps is a super cool organization that basically collects junk, all this discarded stuff. So they're recycling all kinds of materials from companies, like industrial type of leftover stuff, old CDs and fabric and whatever you can think of that you can make something out of. And then they teach classes, and they have open studio time for kids to make stuff out of garbage.
Junk, yeah.
Yeah, and it's all tied to like STEM education and arts enrichment kind of stuff. So 30 years they've been going, and they have a funky chic Mardi Gras party at the Eastern there in Eastern Market. And they're going to have strolling dinner, live music, all kinds of cool stuff. And we're going to put a video on our show notes page that kind of talks about what they're all about. Another kind of alternative event, I would say, is coming up this Saturday, the 23rd, the Monster Energy AMA Supercross. So this is that motorcycle racing that's really like adrenaline-fueled, jumping over obstacles, doing, turns on a dime, that kind of thing. You can bring the whole family. There's lots of options for food before, and sounds like kind of cool thing to do there at Ford Field.
This is the D.
Detroit.
This is the D. Breathe.
All right, there it is, Pete. That's how you do an episode.
All right.
It's not bad.
Pretty easy.
Right?
Talk about yourself.
You could have a second career of podcasting if you can't get...
I've had so many people tell me I have a good voice for...
You really do.
Yeah.
People tell me that. Yeah, I'm in inside sales, so I'm on the phone all day.
Oh.
Like, "Ooh,
Plus, you don't need 9 other people. That's the key.
It's true.
It's much easier to coordinate.
you know what they say? I've got a great face for radio.
Yeah, that's the joke there. Hey, look, we've got a mobile app. You can listen to this podcast if you download it. It's probably the easiest way to listen to this podcast, and it's available for Android or for your iPhone there. Also,
You can listen to us on the Amazon Echo just by simply saying, Alexa, enable the Debrief podcast.
and don't forget, on Friday, we are going to have Cyrus Teta, who is the photographer, one of 2 for the city of Detroit, and he's got this great exhibition over at Detroit Public Library. We'll talk to him all about that. Look, before we get out of here, guys, we always like to do shout-outs. Anybody that you want to shout out this week, Becky?
Sure. So I had the opportunity on Saturday to go to a Hip Hop 101 show at the Cube there at the Fisher Music Center at the DSO. And one of the parts of the show was breakdancing. And they had this breakdance collective called Hardcore Detroit, which has been around for a number of years. And I'm telling you, they are outstanding. And it was really cool to see the types of people that are doing this breakdancing from all over the world. There was a guy from Puerto Rico, a woman who is from Syria. It was just a wide range.
I love that stuff. They had that at J Dilla Day over at the Charles
sure.
Wright, too. They had some breakdancing and a different troupe. But
it was cool. In this show, they kind of broke down all the different types of steps and elements.
You posted something about that on your Instagram.
I did.
Yeah, I thought I saw something about that.
Yeah,
that's
it
cool.
was really entertaining.
You going to start popping and locking?
I might. I think we should have them on the show and maybe do a little
I think we
demo because they've been, I think it's like 20 years or something.
That's a long time to be breakdancing. Mm-hmm. So, all right. What about you, Pete? Anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to my nephew Evan. He runs Hostel Detroit on Verner Street there in Detroit. I think it's in Corktown, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And it's really happening. I mean, he's got all these young people coming in from all over the world. And it's
I believe it.
really cool place. So if you have friends that are coming in from out of town or that are curious about checking out Detroit, because it's like a destination now. What a concept.
You know, I have done that in Europe where you just go backpacking around and you stay in hostels.
Yeah.
I've never done that in the U.S. and it always felt like we didn't have...
My wife and I did it in Europe years ago.
Right,
sure.
But there wasn't the culture here in the U.S. So I'm glad to see that there are places that are doing
Hostel
that.
Detroit, check it out. I think he'd take good care of you. So.
Oh, definitely. And I know that right next to there's a popular pop-up every Thursday in the nice weather, the Pink Flamingo, Guerrilla Food.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, look, I was kind of a homebody this weekend.
Okay.
But we still had a very Detroit weekend. First of all, I made conies at home for the very first time.
You did?
I did.
Cool.
I found a recipe. I could use a better recipe, to be honest with you.
It wasn't that great?
It was fine. It was like meat and onions and some spices.
Oh,
It was,
okay.
I don't know.
Mustard?
Yeah, there was mustard on it.
Onions.
I took a picture. I'll put it up on Instagram
Okay.
if you really want to see my
Yes,
coney.
please.
But, my girlfriend has these young grandkids, 5 years old and 1 year old, and so they came out and hung out with us. But the other thing that we did, you had talked about this a while back on the podcast, is that there is this children's cartoon, this children's show called Motown Magic that's on Netflix. And so I figured, all right, well, let's just flip this on, and wound up watching like 10 episodes in a row.
Oh, so you liked it?
With the 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Well, she liked it. But the concept is cool. It's this little kid. It's clearly set in a town that is inspired by Detroit because he's got a magic paintbrush that brings street art to life. And then, they go on adventures, and there's a robot dancing machine. It's a machine that used to build cars.
Oh, yeah.
And doesn't anymore, and now it just dances around. It's like moonwalking and the whole thing. And honestly, even the plots are very Detroitish.
Okay.
Like there's an episode about a disco that's being torn down, and the kids want to save it, but it's going to be renovated to become a community center, and they go to their parents. Like it's just the whole thing feels very Detroit influenced. And so I went doing some research, and apparently it's made by this guy named Josh Wakely, who's an Australian, but he has somehow managed to secure the music rights, not only to all the Motown songs, and so he created this show about it, but also to the Beatles songs. So he's got another series called Beat Bugs. And I know you were saying that you grew up on the Beatles.
Oh, yeah, big time.
So you should check this out, because apparently it's been an Emmy-winning series that I think is also available through Netflix that is all based around the Beatles music. But this show does a really, really good job of using the music in a way that makes it accessible to kids. Because when we have those little kids over, I find myself just saying, Alexa, play Motown, because it's the one thing that I know that is both upbeat and family friendly.
Right.
Whenever I try something else, you go, Alexa, play The Cure, and then it's just like, it's not 5-year-old music.
Yeah. Right. Or there's songs you forgot.
Right. Or even the U2, like it's in the ballads. Like, so Motown has been the most kid friendly, and this I think does a great job of taking that music and really showcasing it. And apparently the other thing that this guy has secured the rights to is the Bob Dylan catalog.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm curious to see what he does with that. So we'll find out. All right, well, that's it. That's our show. Thank you so much, Pete Peltier. Tell us again, where can people see you?
Mainstreet Soul, our next public appearance will be Saturday, May 9th at Freddy's Bar and Grill in Clinton Township. It's a great venue, and we're a great band. I can say that with all honesty, and come out and check us out.
And where can people see you, like if they want to hire you for your corporate event or wedding?
MainstreetSoul.com is our website. That's probably the best way. And check out our man. We have a booking agent. Julie Castens is our agent, but you can reach her through the website. And you can find us on Facebook. It's facebook.com /Mainstreet Soul. And I have my own band Facebook profile. It's facebook.com /Pete Peltier Detroit.
Spell that for us.
Pete Peltier. It's first name Pete, P-E-T-E. Last name is Peltier, P-E-L-T-I-E-R.
Awesome.
Detroit.
Well, Pete, thanks. We're going to have you back again tomorrow. We can't wait.
Thanks.
Until then, Detroit's moving.
Keep up.
Take care.
The D Brief.
Your guide to Detroit's arts and entertainment scene.